Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Richard Lewis Show. I'm your host, Richard Lewis. Joining me, as he always does, is my fine producer, Sam. He's lurking in the background. There he is. Wonder what he's been doing today. And no guest, but we thought we'd do a show anyway. And I know a load of people are like, oh, but there's some CS on. Yeah, I'm going to do what I always do and watch it in VOD form, because then I can cut out all of the delays and all the other shit. But yeah, so there's just too much to get through. We couldn't not do a show. And plus, I was up, Sam, and at a loose end because I got woke up by an explosion at 8 a.m.
Did you?
An actual explosion.
Right, what happened?
Right, so for some reason, I don't know why, 2 times in the last month, our substation, which is right outside my gaff, right, has literally exploded. The first time was at 4 a.m.
Bro, I bet you shit the bed. I
bet you have no idea.
I knew I should have got a shotgun. I knew we fucking had a...
No, mate, the thing is, though, I fucking got my creeping gear on, my best creeping shoes and that, and I was tiptoeing around outside trying to find what the fuck was going on. I had all I heard was a big bang, right? Like, I thought someone might have drove... Nah, not really.
No, mate, you're mentally ill. What kind of fucking movie are you living in, mate? You go and confront people with nothing. If I'm going out, I'm going with machete minimum.
Right, well,
You're mental.
No, like, I'm pretty confident I can handle stuff. I'm all right.
Motherfuckers have guns nowadays, not hands.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll get the twins out, thunder and lightning, you know what I mean? So anyway, I was fucking having a creep around, like, see if someone had drove a house through a wall, a car into a house. If you drove a house through a wall, that'd be quite an achievement. Yeah, drove a car through a wall in someone's house or something. And it was just a fucking substation, the electricity substation. And it happened again this morning, bang on 8 a.m. Just fucking blew all my lights out, had to reset all the trips. Like 2 hours later, it took to fix it. Fortunately, the electric was on, but it just blew all our fucking lights out. And we've had all sorts of problems over here. Like, I'm still panicking about doing this show, because last time the substation blew up, it fucked all the fire alarms in the house. All right. And I've got one right by there, son.
That would be unfortunate, wouldn't it?
It's pretty loud. It's unreasonably loud. Like, you don't need to be that loud just because there's a fire. Come on. Like, do you know what I mean? Just turn it down just 1 decibel, you know?
Just one.
Yeah, just one, just a little bit. Like, you'll probably hear it. It'll be my luck. It'll go off during the show. So anyway, yeah. So there's that. So I was at a loose end, so I thought, fuck it, I'm awake. I might as well do a show. Doesn't mean I probably won't have lots of energy, and I won't be my usual sharp, witty self. But that's good, because the material for the show should carry it. Now, before we get into that, let's talk about just obviously the merchandise store. We've had more people sending us some pictures, haven't we, Sam? Yeah. I know you've been picking out the best ones, but I'm even wearing a Didn't Happen shirt today, so mine came through. We've added some new mugs, as we said on the show, with Donut Operator, which was pretty good. There's like Didn't Happen mugs now, so you can go out and get there. We've gone past 200 sales of merchandise items, 200 units. So we're pretty pleased with that. And we've even put it now on the stream. So if you buy a piece of merchandise while we're doing the show, it comes up with who bought what, and it shows a little picture of what they bought, which apparently Sam did, because I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, it wasn't really all me. It was just a button I had to press, to be honest. It wasn't all that impressive, but yeah, that does happen.
That's pretty good, right?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. So, have you got any pictures of anyone who's got any merch there, Sam?
I did, until I just closed my browser, so give me 30 seconds to reopen all those tabs. What a mess.
All right, then I'll do that thing where it looks like I've took my thumb off for a bit, right?
Right, hang on. I may have to reset this. I think people can see it.
Here we go, Sam.
Oh, it's just not working. Please.
Smoke and you weed.
Hang on. Hang on.
You're bad at
We'll
that.
come back to
Come
it.
on.
I hate this. Just this not fucking working. This is what I mean. You can't see the pain
All
I'm in.
right. Well, look. How about we do a didn't happen then?
Go for it.
Do
We'll
you
come
want
back
to?
to him.
We'll come back to the
Yeah, we'll show
pictures.
him at the end.
We'll drop a didn't happen. This one, just a mad gay didn't happen. Like just needless didn't happen. Like why somebody? I think it was like on a DJ's Facebook page or something. Somebody linked me to this, and it's like the fucking most fake shit I've ever seen. And they were like, "This gave me chills." Like, okay, right. Let's have a look at what would give this individual chills. So it says here, it's like some story that somebody tweeted, which they typed on their fucking phone. And it said, I gave this man a ride today, randomly, just picking up hitchhikers today, like do it all the time. He couldn't stop crying. He was walking across town with flowers in his hand, and I asked him where I could take him. He said the cemetery. He was still crying and saying, God bless you. I took him to the cemetery and waited for him. Okay, reasonable. I mean, maybe go get another fare. Are you an Uber driver? You know, I could hear him talking to the headstone. How close were you? Like you're waiting in your car?
Creeping.
No, but I mean, like, if you gave someone a ride and you were waiting for them, wouldn't you wait in the car?
Yeah, you think so.
Why would you? Like, so unless you just drove into a graveyard. No, I'll park you right up next to the grave, yeah? Nah, fuck all them other dead cunts. Fuck them. I'll do donuts on their fucking flowers and grief, you know? Anyway, yeah, he was still crying and saying, God bless you. I took him to the cemetery and waited for him. I could hear him talking to the headstone, and what I heard changed my life. It always changes your life, doesn't it? He said, Mom, I made you a promise when I was young that I'd buy you flowers for all your birthdays. Probably, if only his mother had sent him to school for all your birthdays. Today is your birthday, and I thought I was going to break my promise because I was going to take my own life. But this woman came out of nowhere, so generous and godly, and she offered me a ride to you. She noticed me. She told me that God has a plan for me. I mean, you've left all this bit out on your tweet, right? And she probably thinks I'm crazy because I can't stop crying, but I can't stop crying because her name is Emily, and that's your name, Mom. You saved me. This is like the shittest thing I've ever heard. This is like if a kid tried to write like a ghost story for like level 8 fucking English. Like it's just all over the fucking place, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's literally all over the place. Like, why not introduce that, you know, the I am called Emily earlier in the story? I mean, am I supposed to figure that out because your tweet is @MGB_? Why did you give this person a ride randomly?
Why did any of this happen?
Yeah, why did you tell this person that God has a plan for them? Why would you do that? What kind of fucking... I don't want that from an Uber driver.
Can you just take me to the cemetery, please, where I'm going?
Yeah. No, God has a plan for you. Have you got a fucking plan so I can get to my destination, you fucking mad prick? It's unreal, isn't it? So there's a mad didn't happen. And this has had 206,000 shares. 206,000 people thought this was so fucking mind-blowing. Bloody hell, I better share this. Fucking hell, look.
Wow, faith in humanity restored.
Look at some of the fucking comments, though. Like, where it didn't happen, right? You just never know what someone's going through. Always be kind, in block capitals. All right, mate. By Jesse Ryder. He's got a porn star name. Lord knows this made me cry.
Lord knows.
Yeah, the Lord knows. That is just another true example of how the Lord always has a plan for us, and that there truly is a being greater than us. So this made-up story has cemented this individual's belief in a higher power. Like, and then look, here's another one. It's appalling the kind of negativity she got on Twitter. People saying it's fake. If you don't share the same beliefs with others, at least be respectful.
It's not beliefs.
It's not a belief. It's just a lie.
You can't go to work. Oh, sorry, I was late, mate. This dog just tried to eat me alive. Oh, but you look fine. Well, that's just my beliefs, mate. You think you better respect my beliefs? Why are you disrespecting my beliefs? That's going to be a write-up.
It's central to my religion that a dog is trying to eat me. Like,
I have a right to these beliefs.
Woe, thus struck me harder than expected. I think that's going to be this. May God bless his life and the girl who stopped for him. Somebody get a bit suspicious here. It's a nice story, but why would he have already been carrying flowers through town if he was planning to kill himself and not go to the cemetery?
Good point.
Got him. I got goosebumps just reading this. Quite ironic because Goosebumps, the kids' books, operate on a higher level.
Yeah, they did. Those were bargain.
Let's have a look what else we got here. I sobbed as a person. As a person
you did,
with health issues, I related to it. What? Because
as someone who also lies on the internet, I can relate to this.
I just bursted out in tears reading this. Apparently, you know, this is a mad, touching story. Someone just put "God is great, God is good." I mean,
God lives in our neighbourhood. It was a little rhyme, mate. You got to read the rest.
Wait, what is it there?
Yeah, click on the read more.
Oh my God!
God is great. God is good. God lives in our neighbourhood.
He doesn't though, does he? Here's the thing: if God was so great, why?
He's got God privilege. He lives in the fucking, the all privileged place where everything's good. If anyone's got privilege, mate, it's God.
Yeah, deity privilege is a very real thing, but why? Surely this is quite a sad story about a man whose mother's dead before her time. So God could have just made that not happen. And then he'd be even better, wouldn't he? There's great, but great isn't a very good high standard to hold an omnipotent, omniscient being to, is it? Great is a parking instructor who doesn't give you a ticket even though you were 1 minute over. That's great.
That's pretty great.
If you knew everything, could see everything, and were everywhere, great isn't good enough, is it really? With all of them tools at your disposal. So anyway, yeah, didn't happen. Obviously didn't happen. The most obvious didn't happen I've ever fucking seen, I think. That makes that cunt who's fucking faked a tweet about his kid with the Geneva Convention seem fucking legit. Right, you ready to show some photos of people wearing our merch, Sam?
Yeah, I've got all the links set up now.
Got it. Right, so there you go.
Right, so we'll start with Moses. I haven't got him in the chronological order.
Oh yeah, big plug from fucking
nice guy Moses.
So tall, yeah, he's good. He
Yeah, what?
Sorry, someone just put enough of this. Get onto the show.
This is it, mate.
Yeah, this is the show. Daniels, this is what it does. So, maybe you're in the wrong place, mate. Maybe this isn't for you. I don't know what you were expecting, but didn't happen. Is like one of our key segments. The kids love it. That's why we've got a T-shirt that says "Didn't happen," and it's kind of a catchphrase. Anyway, let's go. Yeah, let's go back to Moses. But yeah, this really is the show, Daniels. You should probably just go now. Really, that's like one of the highlights of the show. So
that's
yeah,
all we got. That's the best.
That's pretty much it.
That's like highlight real shit. That last clip.
We're all out of shit. So you should just go. We'll wait. We'll wait. So yeah, Moses did a plug for us. He's a good lad. So I'm happy about that. He actually did buy the merch and had it delivered. He didn't tell me he was doing it either, and I didn't ask him to do that plug. Which now that I've seen a kind of celebrity do it, maybe that's something we should do. Maybe we should send some to Keemstar.
Yeah, that'd be big.
Send Keemstar a mentally ill T-shirt. Get him to wear it.
Yeah,
could be the future.
Like a special one with a link on it.
I did notice something, right? Even though you're meant to be Watson in the Didn't Happen T-shirt, somebody said you do look a bit like a fat Hitler.
Nah, God, it's a little M mustache. It isn't a square. I would have noticed that. Trust me. Mate, the shit that we get called already. Exactly.
I would have noticed that.
People call us Nazis already, mate. As if I wouldn't notice a Nazi tash on my lip.
Yeah. Well, in Biro. Yeah, maybe it's Chloe who is to blame if you look like Fat Hitler. So don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we'll
exactly.
Just
My bad.
There you go. Someone said cute Hitler.
Yeah.
All right.
See, big fan.
More like somebody with a very weird sexual fetish.
Cute Hitler, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, just like a big giant baby Hitler. Now fuck me. That's a bit out there, isn't it? So anyway, yeah, here you go. You can see this
Cameron, yeah. Someone called General Obvious.
General Obvious. He's not a real general, is he?
Probably not. With a big Din Nathan shirt. Jake got wood.
Jake got wood, has he?
Yeah. He's got a Din Nathan shirt, mate. That's what he's got.
Yeah, good. Nice. Oh, yeah, somebody said, you can check this. Apparently, every time he takes a selfie, he has the
pose.
Yeah, the exact same pose, though. But go back to Jake. I want to see if this.
Why are we just flaming this guy? You bought shit.
No, I'm not. It's not a flame.
No, he's got half naked pictures, but
has he?
I just went to look and it's full him covering his knob. What's happened there?
Is that why he's called Jake's Got Wood?
I guess so. I guess he's all in.
It says he's a Twitch streamer.
Yeah.
What else does that say? Does that say Rag Boy? What?
I don't know. Oh, it says Bag Boy.
Bag Boy? What's a bag boy? What's a bag boy?
Bag Boy. I don't know, mate. I ain't questioning it, but thanks for the t-shirt anyway, mate. Nice guy.
Yeah, nice guy.
Cheers,
nice. You keep covering your knob. Nice guy.
No, mentally ill shit from SR shit posting. Nice.
Reasonable.
And then a mentally ill shit from PK. There you go.
Nice.
If I missed anyone, message me up and I'll put you in the next show.
We'll get you in the next show. So thanks for that. And of course, you can just follow the link that's on the overlay and go to the merchandise store and spend your hard-earned pennies. Right then. So let's get into the show. We are already in the show, M. Daniels, just in case you did stick around. The show is like this. This is just what the show is. But we just talk about things. But there's going to be other things. So, if you're still there, you might like this. Because, you know Steve Harvey? Big fan of Steve Harvey on this show, obviously. I mean, again, for me, Steve Harvey is just this inexplicable... His existence is inexplicable to me. You know how, he doesn't believe in evolution? Yeah. Well, I don't believe in Steve Harvey in a way. Because... I find it hard to believe that somebody whose job is basically to act shocked at the most, pre-rehearsed, scripted shit, and because of his station that he's achieved for doing this on a inexplicably popular TV show, he then also thinks he can talk about things like evolution, how he doesn't believe it's real, mainly because we've still got monkeys.
Oh, we still got monkeys.
Yeah, so it's definitely not real, is it? Because there are still some monkeys. I've seen them in zoos. And also how he hates atheists, because atheists can't be trusted. Because if you don't believe in God, who knows what you're going to do. He also doesn't like gay men very much. He says you're not a real man if you're gay. And, he also believes in, a woman's place and all that, and drove his ex-wife mad by apparently doing all sorts of weird brainwashing techniques on her. I mean, that's what she says. So he's a bit of a strange cunt. So the first thing that kind of made me happy, which it's not really a big deal, because why would this be any different, right? But he had a new show called Thunderdome right? Which is obviously a play on words of Thunderdome, you know? I don't know what's happening in Steve Harvey's Thunderdome. I've never checked it out. I'm going to imagine, especially looking at the picture of Steve Harvey with a shit-eating grin on his face below the word Thunderdome. I'm going to imagine it's absolute cancer of the soul. And it's just not good at all. That's what I'm going to imagine, right? But it got leaked. It got leaked, didn't it? It got leaked. And, you know, you've seen those pirating sites and all that stuff, Sam, where leaked shows go to, and kids download them, don't they? They use things like torrents and that kind of thing. Well, no one downloaded Thunderdome, but, like, it was just there, and people saw it. Oh, look, Steve Harvey's new show. Yeah, he's a cunt, though, isn't he? Yeah, you're right. And then they went and downloaded porn or a Game of Thrones episode, you know, whatever else people use piracy for. It's pretty much just porn and Game of Thrones, really. But and the occasional cracked game, I imagine. But that's about it, right? And Steve Harvey has no place in that world. So obviously no one was going to download it. But it did give me a laugh that there wasn't one curious cunt, just not one person who just thought, yeah, I'll give that a watch. Nah. Steve Harvey is basically like a sign saying, warning, dog shit inside. No one wants to open that box, did he? And if you put Steve Harvey's face on it, yeah, just it's dog shits inside. So I thought, fair enough, we might have seen the end of Steve Harvey. But we haven't, because he's back to saying ridiculous things, which is pretty much what he does for a living, as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
And this, I thought, this is just a cracker, Sam. So he was on a radio show, right? And I don't know what, they were probably interviewing him about Thunderdome, I imagine. And somebody called, it was like a call-in or something. And somebody called up and they were talking about the basketball for some reason. And they said that, you know, Cleveland didn't deserve anything because the Cavaliers lost to the Golden State Warriors. So Steve Harvey, because he's from Cleveland, he took it a little bit personally, right? So what would you say to somebody if you knew they were from Flint? You know, you could say, where's your basketball team? Something like that, I guess. Keep it in the wheelhouse, you know, within the realm of basketball. No, he said, hey, you from Flint? That's why you all ain't even got clean water. When when was the last time you touched water and it didn't have lead in it?
Good.
Right? So the host started saying to Steve, start reel it in. But Steve Harvey didn't reel it in. He said, I wasn't talking about the city of Flint. I was talking about him. He gonna call in, say Cleveland don't deserve Jack, and he over there bathing in all that silver water. Harvey said before the end of the call, one more thing, enjoy your nice brown glass of water.
Can we listen to it, bud?
Yeah, put it on, mate. It might even be funnier when he says it. Like,
right, ready?
Yeah. Let's 3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1, go.
Calm it down. All right, you're out there now. You're over the edge. Reel it in, man. Go ahead and apologize, Steve. Go ahead and apologize.
Apologize for what?
What you just said.
Apologize for what? Apologize for what, bitch? I ain't gonna apologize for nothing.
Steve.
I want him to drink. I want him, you know.
She just whispering angrily.
That's
Wow. I know.
You made that shot.
He's sitting there, he gonna call that Cleveland don't deserve Jack. He on that baby and all that silver water.
Hey. We really are. We're moving on right now. Let's go to Benita.
Hey, hold on. Just one more thing. What was his name?
His name was D, and he was out of Michigan.
No.
Oh, he's still on there. D. Oh, he's still there.
Okay, D.
Okay.
Slit Town. I'm just talking to you. I ain't
He's
trying to
here
sit
for
in-
it, Steve.
No, I'm here. I'm glad you're here for it.
All right, I appreciate that.
Hey, one more thing, though.
Go ahead.
Enjoy your nice brown glass of water.
What's he reacting for? What's he
The guy was
reacting
being
for?
so nice as well. Alright, man, just one more thing.
Alright.
Choked to death on that poisonous brown water. What the fuck? That's mental.
Now here's the thing, Sam. Here's the thing. Like, now everyone's like going, yeah, he's all right. He's all right, Steve Harvey now. Everyone likes Steve Harvey now. I don't know if people kept up with what was happening in Flint. Like, a bunch of people did die.
Yeah.
Because of like corporate negligence. You know, and as a resident of Flint, for all you know, he might have been affected. Could have had to watch his fucking like nan just die horrifically before his eyes, and then I know what'll take my mind off the horror. I'll ring into this radio show to have a bit of banter with Steve Harvey about basketball. Enjoy nice brown glass of water. Oh, Steve fucking Harvey. People are saying he should do stand-up. He used to do stand-up. He weren't funny. But he did used to do stand-up. That's why he does
this now.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine, right, if, I don't know, a fucking funny comedian was doing something like what, Family Feud. Can you imagine? This is why I'm always kind of secretly glad. I mean, not secretly glad, but a little bit glad that, there's like, you never had to see Bill Hicks do that shit, right? It's a tragedy. I love Bill Hicks. He's like one of my icons and heroes. And I don't believe he would have sold out. But what if he did? What if he got to 50 and he just thought, fuck it, I'm just
being the mean judge.
All the edgy shit he did when he was 20 just completely fucking ruined. You know what I mean? It would break my heart. It would break my heart more than his tragically untimely death. Seeing him there. And, well, what have we got on the board? No, Bill. No, you said you'd never do this. You always swore that was like half your act about how you'd never sell out. No. So the kind of fate that befalls you when you work a TV show like Family Feud is fitting for an unfunny comedian. And trust me, if you want to Google some of Steve Harvey's fucking stand-up, it's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, he was like mates with like Bernie Mack. So he used to get these like prime gigs. And like his entire act would just be like, I'm now going to say some words which are like ghetto words, but they don't sound like words. But it's like how we pronounce them in the ghetto. That'll be his whole act. It's like, so yeah, not cool. Right. So let's get into some. Yeah, let's start. We'll have a nice little segue. Mental illness again. Everyone is fucking ill. Oh, actually, just before we get into it, before we get into illness, let's just do this one thing. You know how some people are just unlucky and they're going to have like ridiculously like ironic deaths, and there's nothing funny about the death, right? But it's like, I don't know, ambulance driver gets run over by an ambulance while on his way to hospital in an ambulance or something. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's just some mad, and everyone goes, bloody hell, that's hilarious. Sad he died, but that's fucking hilarious, that is. So I was doing what I usually do, flicking through the BBC, having a look out for fake news and all that. And I saw this fucking unbelievable headline. And I had to kind of like do a double take. And then I was like, yeah, probably shouldn't laugh at that. But they've deliberately done a fucking headline that makes you laugh. Right? Exploding cream dispenser, which is like the name of a Mr. Bungle album. Exploding cream dispenser kills French fitness blogger. So you're like, okay, that's they've
been
lured
doing whippets and smash someone's head in.
they've lured you in with the headline, right? But it won't really be that. No, a well-known lifestyle blogger in France has been killed by an exploding whipped cream dispenser. Rebecca Berger's death was announced on Facebook in what her family called a domestic accident. And basically what happened was she had like a whipped cream like siphon. And obviously it's like a high pressure container. And I think she was like trying to use it. And it just blew up and somehow killed her. I don't even understand how that's possible.
Fanny
When I was
smashed her chest and put her into cardiac arrest.
That's mental, isn't it? I mean, that must have been a big whipped cream bottle. Apparently, it happens a lot. Well, not a lot, but it happens more than you think.
Yeah, not a lot. Whipped cream dispensers.
No, but think about it. When I was a kid, you know, we'd all try and get wrecked off it.
Bit of nitrous to the head.
Yeah. So, but it says apparently multiple people get injured every year by whipped cream. Let's look at this though. In 2013, one victim of an exploding cream dispenser told a radio station, "I had 6 broken ribs and my sternum was broken." Like, how's that
happen off the little container?
How's that? Like, yeah, the like, how the fuck? Me fucking ribs. It's so ridiculous.
6 ribs.
6 ribs, mate. At the hospital, I was told that if the shock and blast had been facing the heart, I would be dead by now. So, yeah, watch out for whipped cream, friends.
Stop doing whippets, it'll kill you.
Yeah, it will kill you. Right, so mental illness. Mental illness. You know who the most mentally ill person on Twitter is?
Fucking hell. Is it Tariq Nasheed?
It's Tariq Nasheed, mate.
Nice.
Yes, good guess. Yeah, absolutely mentally ill, isn't he? And I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to qualify that, right? Like, we've talked about Tariq Nasheed a fair bit on the show, but Tariq Nasheed believes that everyone is a white supremacist. Like, literally everyone is a white supremacist unless you're black. And if you just look at his Twitter feed, it's all he ever talks about. I mean, at the moment, right, he is now talking about VidCon 2017, which is where all the YouTubers and video content creators are currently at. And Tariq Nasheed has come to the conclusion that it's actually a gathering of white supremacists. Which I just want to say, if it was a gathering of white supremacists, VidCon would be a terrible name for it. Like, White Supremacist Con would probably be better, because obviously you don't want any confusion, do you? You want to attract your key audience, because if you are having a white supremacist rally and a bunch of non-white supremacists come in, they might be a little bit confused as to what's going on. You know, while you're saying, so anyway, yeah, the white race is completely superior, yeah. Oh, but I thought we were here to talk about...
Casey Neistat was coming.
No, Casey's not coming, actually. A bit of a change of plan. We've got Fatler. He's a cute, fat Adolf Hitler lookalike. He's here. We've got Foxler, the Foxler Nightfire, the furry. He's here. And Richard Spencer. That's about it, really. All the other white supremacists are just plebs who've never really achieved anything in life. No, not even notoriety. So here's where he said this. This is the tweet. Now, since saying I heard VidCon 2017 was nothing but a white supremacist rally with nerds, how true is this? He's made a few more tweets, because obviously all Tariq Nasheed does is accuse everyone of being a white supremacist or everything of being racist. So, I mean, this is how he makes his... I don't even know how he makes a living out of this. But, you know, things like this. Like, what's this tweet about? I didn't know this was happening. Why didn't somebody tell me? Black citizens are waiting on people in the dominant society to confess to you that blacks are under a racial cleansing regime now. I didn't realize that was happening. And then he talks about white supremacy, of course, and some other stuff. So he's a bit mental. But anyway, back to VidCon. He's now saying, because a load of video content creators tried to get hashtag shut up Tariq trending, and it did tweet. He said here that because people want him to shut up and stop calling people white supremacists with no evidence, no foundation, just the voices in his head. You can see here that he then tweeted out that the few named people who were tweeting about this, he then called them white supremacists, saying, so these suspected white supremacists got shut up Tariq trending. And then he tweeted this, which, hang on, this is pretty mental, right? There were only a handful of black people at VidCon 2017, and security there still found a black person they could choke and brutalize. And then there's a video of what appears to be Jesus.
He couldn't even keep the peace.
Right? Now, when I mean, we have no idea what the security are doing, but you can hear everybody there, these supposed white supremacists, are against the security. They're all saying, fuck you guys. So, just putting that out there. So, I think Tariq Nasheed might have some problems. Yeah, I think he might have some mental health problems. And I don't think they're going to go away anytime soon, Sam.
I don't think so either.
Because what you might not know about Tariq Nasheed is Tariq Nasheed, before he became a racism expert, which is what he pretends to be now on Twitter, he just desperately wanted to be famous. And he actually used to be a rapper who used to call himself King Flex or K Flex. And he wrote some books, which we'll come to in a minute. But more tragically, he wrote some songs. And one of these songs was a song called Wash Yo Ass. Now, I thought, it might be an Ebonics way of saying watch yo ass, because they tend to use the softer T. But it's not. It's a song about how women need to wash their ass before having sex. Which I'm not saying he's wrong. It goes both ways. Clean assholes make for a better sexual experience, just as a rule. But he wrote this song called Wash Your Ass. I think it's only fair we play the first 2.5 minutes of it.
Right, I'll give you the link.
Right, because that's where it peaks. It's at about 2 minutes 40 in. It's got the best line of the entire song. You'll know it when you hear it. But anyway,
start,
yeah, just play it from the start. People will quickly pick up on the theme of the song and about washing your ass. I mean, I love the cover, by the way. That is Tariq Nasheed. So, a nice little parental advisory sticker over what I assume is a freshly washed ass.
Is yo ass.
Indeed. So, ready whenever.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wash your ass.
ass. You got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Wash it. Squash it. I say you wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Wash your ass. Just grab a douche. Open up your puss and squash it. Squash it. I say now dag. Baby, did you pass gas? I think you better go get a cell bar soap and wash your ass fast. Got a motherfucker thinking and wondering what's up with the junk in the trunk. It's getting funky. I better watch that skunk at your monkey. You raise hell and be yelling because all the fellas be belling, but all the fellas are gonna be belling because your big cootie gets smelling. I see you wanna get a cootie cat now, but I think I passed, nigga. Well, make a nigga motherfucker wanna smell your ass, nigga. The cootie cat is so smell bad and that's for real, nigga. You need to run and get some hummus Eve or some ass and gale, nigga. And wash it. Squash it. Baby, gotta get your groove on. Wanna get a piece of my wee-wee, but you know I will not give you none, ho. You must be from New Orleans, cause your booty cat smells like gumbo. And if you wanna give it up, wait a minute before you drop your clothes. I got to send out a message to you, funky Gucci hoes. Wash your ass, you got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Wash your ass. I say now wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Squash it. Squash it. You got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. You got to wash your ass. Squash your ass. Just grab a douche, open up your puss and squash it. Squash it. I say Keisha and LaTanya need to wash your ass. Angela and Nicole need to wash your ass. Lisa and Tamika need to wash your ass. You need to wash your ass. Wash your ass. I say Monica and Brandy need to wash your ass. I say Rachel and Simone need to wash your ass. I say Tina and Regina need to wash your ass. You need to wash your ass. Wash your ass. Which I'm the K-dash to the FL to the EX. You need to go run your bath and wash your ass before you give me sex. Cause I don't give a fuck about how sexy you love. You can have a body like an hourglass, but you better not have no sour ass. Your push, spray your bush. Your cootie cat really stinks.
That's the banger. So you can kill it. It kind of peters out after this. So, but yeah, that's where I realized that maybe Tariq Nasheed, like, it maybe he was a normal human being at one point. You know, I have to say there is some merit in writing the line, "You can have a figure like an hourglass, but better not got no sour ass," right? He obviously at one point could have contributed to literature. You know, this guy could have been somebody instead of just some insane person ranting on Twitter about white supremacists. So wash your ass indeed. But it didn't just stop there, actually. He wrote some books, you see. And he wrote a book. Hang on, let me find it for you. Called The Art of Macking. Right? The Art of Macking. Now, I'll get you a picture of this book. Hang on. There we go. Here's the cover of The Art of Macking, right? But he also did a follow-up book called The Holy Book of Game, which was called The Mack Within, right? So he's all about macking, basically. Let me find you a picture of the Mack Within. And this is available. You can buy this now. This isn't made up. Let me find this. There it is. Okay. So you can get, The Art of Macking Collector's Edition or The Mack Within. You can get both of them.
And
maybe that's coming. But you can see what young Tariq Nasheed was kind of focused on. It was, basically get those women and live like a pimp, which is interesting, isn't it? Because he talks a lot about white supremacy and the sort of ongoing servitude that black people experience at the hand of a predominantly white society that doesn't respect black people as human beings, right? But what could be more representative of servitude and dehumanization than the relationship between a pimp and a prostitute. And why on earth would you want to sort of laud that as the benchmark for relationships between a man and a woman, between anyone, right? But there's some quotes from his books, and it turns out they're pretty racist. In fact, actually, I missed a little bit of the story out here, Sam. His books got adapted into an online radio show. Do you know what it was called?
The Mack.
Close.
What?
Let you have one more.
Morning Mack. I don't know. I don't know what time slot you had, mate.
Mack Lessons. Mack Lessons. And by the way, Nonative, that is the best comment I think we've ever had on Twitch. Nonative just wrote, Mack Lives Matter.
Got him.
Got him. You're on point, mate. So, yes, it got adapted into an online radio show called Mack Lessons. And this is back in like 2009. And he did some episodes on how to pick up Asian women and Latino women. And the things he's got to say about Asian women and Latin women is mega racist. So these quotes are from Tariq Nasheed's Mack Lessons. Just listen. So Asian girls kind of dropped down a notch. This is when bird flu and SARS was happening, and he said that because of these epidemics, Asian women were less valuable to him because he didn't want to risk getting SARS or bird flu. So he said, so Asian girls kind of dropped down a notch. And I'm saying this because I used to love me some Asian broads around 2001 and 2002. Those were my main team players, but I had to start cutting them off the team. Asian girls are still salvageable. You can salvage them. But Asian females, like I said, were hot for a minute. But then all of a sudden, the damn bird flu started coming into play. And chicken fever, all types of shit, SARS. They started getting all types of shit from these Asian broads. So that kind of threw everyone off from Asian girls for a minute. All these little strange Asian diseases started popping up because right after that happened, everyone started focusing on the Latino girls. It goes on. For a while, Asian girls were the shit, but an N-word didn't want to get feathers on his dick from the bird flu.
That's not how it works.
Or whatever was popping off. I'm not saying that every Filipino girl is a drug user. This is just something else. I'm not saying. Like, have you ever started a sentence like that? Right? I'm not saying that every Filipino girl is a drug user, but a lot of them are. A lot of girls from those poorer countries are major drug users, but damn near all of them, especially the attractive ones, are attention whores. So that was from episode 7 of Mack Lessons, called Macking on Asian Females. Let's go to episode 6, Macking on Latina Females. Now, with Puerto Rican females, you got to step to them with confidence, and you got to get them young. Not underage. Don't get your ass on MSNBC Dateline as a pedophile. But you got to get them at 18, 19. You got to get them out of their community. You got to get them young, fresh off the boat.
Fucking hell.
A lot of Puerto Rican bitches will hit the wall at 30.
Reasonable things to say.
By the time they get to 30 years old, they look a hot mess. Oh, God, I can't read this. I don't know what it is in the Puerto Rican water. Or the chupacabra monster got them.
There's no way he said that, mate. What kind of fuck is this, a radio show? What the fuck?
Oh, oh God.
What the fuck?
The chupacabra. Too much. That's too much, mate. That's too much, isn't it? Right. Oh, right. The chupacabra monster got them. Fuck. I'm crying, man. I'm blubbing. Oh, God. I read this earlier today and the same thing happened. Oh. I knew it was coming, mate. Been laughing at myself around the house about chupacabra. It's fucking like in the dark.
Oh my God! Oh, that's so fucking mental, man. Oh
Christ! Right. I can do this. Oh my God, I can do this. Oh. Right, okay. Right. I'm not even going to repeat it, but they hit the wall. A lot of girls here from Brazil, Colombia, they be on some gangster shit. Bitches. Bitches be drug mules. That's what he said. That's what he said.
What the fuck?
Bitches be drug mules. Right. Or high-class tall girls. You kind of have to have your foot in the game to deal with women like that. Because if a Brazilian broad has gotten out of her country, that bitch got some hustling under her belt. And she did something to get out of her country. She done sold some dope. She done sold some pussy. She done sold something to get her out of
trafficking something.
Brazilian girls and a lot of women from South America have bad breath.
Mate, first of all, they're running drugs for the chupacabra, and now they go bad bread.
Fuck. Hell no. This is too much, man. Fuck me. Oh, yeah.
The fucking chupacabra, man. Oh, my God. Oh.
Right.
I'm not gonna survive it, man. If he says one more dumb shit, man. Oh.
No, I think we're okay.
Fucking
I think that's after bad breath. Brazilian girls and a lot of women from South America have bad breath. I know that sounds kind of weird, but whenever I meet a girl from South America, all them bitches' breath smells funny. So there you go. That was from Mack on Latina females. Now, I don't know what happens in the interim period of like 2009 to the present day, where Tariq Nasheed wanted to be like, I don't know, some sort of weird Ice-T type character, you know, because Ice-T did all this same stuff. Ice-T used to do a show which was all about pimp culture and blaxploitation movies and the writing of Iceberg Slim and this kind of stuff, which is all great stuff. I got some Iceberg Slim on my fucking bookshelf over there, you know. But if you want to be a credible political figure, I don't think you can be talking about fucking chupacabras. I think
bitches be drug mules.
Bitches be drug mules, mate. I think you gotta fucking, leave that shit alone. But obviously, while we're buckled with laughter at the ridiculous things he's saying, those are all mad racial stereotypes, and inherent to those stereotypes, there is obviously elements of misogyny because he's talking exclusively about females. And you'll notice he refers to them continually as girl or female. There's no women, or you know what I mean? So there's obviously an element of misogyny there. And, of course, an element of racism, because he's talking about races that he believes are inferior to his own. And we can infer that from the way that he talks about them in very, kind of almost dehuman kind of terms. So that's Tariq Nasheed, who is, mentally ill and anti-racism expert. Mate, it doesn't end there, though, right? So he's got a fucking radio show at the moment where all he talks about, right, is, again, just white supremacy, how everything that happens, he's still polluting the airwaves. He said recently that we should all be worried about the Cleveland Facebook killer, right? Do you remember that guy on Facebook? This is unreal. Okay, so the Cleveland Facebook killer, we were going to do something about him on the show, but it's kind of past now. But for those that didn't hear about it, there was a guy who literally was just live streaming murders on Facebook, and he killed some old man who was doing absolutely nothing except minding his own business because he was upset that his girlfriend
was ignoring him or something. Yeah,
some girl that he liked, I think it was, had rejected him. Interesting point of information about the Cleveland Facebook killer. His last words. This is as bad as Chupacabras, I think, mate. His last words were, "Hurry up, I need my chicken nugget."
How is that his last word?
Because he saw the police were closing in on him, and he was at a drive-through, and they were being deliberately slow with the order to stall. I think somebody had recognized him. So he was getting tetchy, and he went like, "Hurry up, I need my chicken nuggets." And he was getting super angry, and then he just thought, fuck it, and he just shot himself in the head. So his last words were, "I need my chicken nuggets." But anyway, what Tariq Nasheed said was not, "Hey, everybody in those neighborhoods where he's been cited, be careful." He actually came out and said some of the white supremacists in Cleveland will use the Facebook killer as an excuse to shoot random black people. So be careful out there.
I mean,
you see, the real danger was the imaginary white supremacists in his mind, not the very real guy with a gun who was very really going around, very really killing people before he didn't get his chicken nuggets in time. So Tariq Nasheed is just out of it. He's just fucking out of his fucking mind. So yeah. And as I said, he even had a go at fucking Sky Williams recently and implied that he was some sort of Uncle Tom, I think he called him, or something. I don't know why. Just because, again, I think Sky has
he
that,
just calls anyone who isn't racist.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. He's got like Sky Williams has a nuanced perspective now. He kind of got what you guys might call red pilled somewhere along the line. Started associating with people who were meant to be forbidden because they've committed the atrocity of thought crime. People such as myself, I imagine, would be included in that. Sky Williams is always talking about how one day he wants to marry me. Well, if he hurries up and makes enough money. And won't insist on the prenup, I might do it, mate. That might be my gateway to my millions.
Slide in.
Yeah, divorcing Sky. So also just as well, so the anti-racism strategist who believes everyone is evil and is a white supremacist, also hates gay people, of course. He had an anti-gay website back at the same time he was writing hit songs like Wash Your Ass and giving Mack lessons. And here it is. You can see here. I'll give you the tweet. You can zoom in on the picture. Somebody had screenshotted this. It doesn't exist anymore. But he had something called antimoist.com. Okay. And the word moist is a perceived heterosexual male who has an appearance or lifestyle that displays attributes generally associated with homosexual men. He gives an example. I went to see the movie Twilight and it was extremely moist. Anti-moist, a man who rejects social pressure to take on moist characteristics. I don't want to wear skinny jeans because I'm anti-moist. And then there's a link to the Mack Lessons radio show that we talked about, including some of the videos called Speed Dancing, The Rapping Twins, and Moist Trio Twerking. And let's keep it together, Sam. We've had a good run. And you can see there is Tariq himself wearing the T-shirt anti-moist. So this is somebody I feel comfortable labeling absolutely mentally ill. I mean, he was mentally ill before he was mentally ill, but now he's seriously mentally ill. Because I can't imagine the levels of cognitive fucking dissonance to hold all of these things in your head, to hate Latino women, because those bitches must have sold something to get out.
Chupacabra. I don't trust those bitches.
You know, it's mad. It's truly mad to know you said all those things. Not ages ago. You know, we're talking 5-6 years. 7 maybe. And he's completely shifted his outlook and sort of rejects the fact that he used to be K-Flex. He wants to be taken seriously as an anti-racism strategist. Now, that's not the most ridiculous thing I've seen in regards to racism, although Tariq Nasheed is pretty high-ranking. Huffington Post managed to trump it, Sam. They managed to trump it in a way I didn't even think was possible, actually. They published an open letter to gay white men. And I don't know if you saw this, but I saw an open letter to gay white men. I thought, oh, what could this be about? You know, could it be, hey, good news, everyone. We're now in a part where the vast majority of society sort of recognizes gay rights. Because it's Pride Month, you know? So I thought this will be nice. This will be something that gay people can appreciate. You know, a celebration of how far we've come, you know? Gay marriage is almost, you know, it's legal in the majority of America now. We're moving forward. Everyone's falling online. There's only those sort of wacky countries where they have religious figures instead of elected leaders. All right. And you know, and a few where that line is a bit murky. But basically what I would call the civilized world realizes that it's just not a big deal, is it? However we like to get our jollies. I mean, people did take it a little bit too far. Did you see those gay lions?
No.
Did you see that? Someone found a lion bumming another lion.
Yeah.
Right. Let me show you this. And let me just find it for you, gay lions. Here you go. It was in Botswana, right? And this prompted all sorts of people to sort of use this as some sort of wide-reaching thing. Because, like, look, at the end of the day, I don't think we should use outliers within nature to sort of extrapolate points about humans. I think we're kind of different to lions. You know, I know that's a bit of a wacky thought, but I did see people like tweeting about this. Ha! 2 male lions fucking each other. Look at all these homophobes not able to take that, animals are gay, just deal with it. And I'm like, they're not though, are they? I mean, like, for the you see these instances. What I find interesting is it's not that they're gay. It's not that this lion has got some inexplicable attraction to other male lions that inexplicable to the lion because he can't contextualize his own existence because he's a lion. What it is he's a lion and he just wanted to stick it in something, so he did because he's an animal, right? That's how I think about it. Now, more high-functioning animals, they just don't care, do they? They're almost operating in kind of a state of bisexuality, and the only thing that kind of drives the heteronormative way of looking at things is, of course, breeding and the breeding imperative. It's not really a big deal, is it? I mean, I've had all sorts of people come up to me and talk about this a lot, like, oh, yeah, dolphins are gay. Well, not entirely true, but yeah, there have been instances of dolphins engaging in homosexual instances of sex. There's been instances of dolphins masturbate. They find little jet streams in their pools and they'll fucking get their dolphin knobs out and hold them over the stream. Everyone's seen that gif of the dolphin fucking the fish in the face. We've all seen that. So that doesn't mean dolphins are zoophiles because they're fucking out of their species. Dolphins are incredibly intelligent creatures, and I think they just don't really give a fuck about fucking.
Just trying to jet, aren't they? They're not arse.
Yeah, exactly. And the only thing that really stigmatizes homosexuality, as far as I can tell, comes back to religion. It comes back to our old friend religion, doesn't it? Because, I've said this a bunch of times. This is my theory as to how I make sense of religion, because obviously religion's a bit wacky, right? But I think at one point they sort of served as like a health and safety guide, right? Hear me out, Sam. A health and safety guide for your particular tribe, your group, right? Because all religions say the same shit, like, watch anyone who doesn't believe your religion, right? They're weird. This is definitely the right one. So every religion claims to be the true one, even though there's all these like similarities and overlaps. All the others are wrong. When they say it, they're wrong. When we say the exact same thing, we're the right one. That's to create, unity, right? Unity of purpose, a common cause. The other thing, they all say go forth and multiply, don't they? They all say you should go out and definitely get married, and women are definitely inferior, and we should definitely control their reproductive cycles. Definitely we should do that because we need to have as many kids as possible. So best thing to do is just have women kind of just, laid up every fucking 9 months, like waiting to pop another kid out. And that's good. That's good for us because then there's more of us that believe in this common belief system. That's how, we might not be able to convince other people to join, but it's okay. We can just procreate and we can just breed new members of our belief system. So that's all right. So let's just go forth and multiply. This is the start of why homosexuality is bad. Not entirely, but in religion. That's, anything that's contrary to breeding, I mean, in having kids, is they try to put you off it. They don't want you to use contraceptives. They tell you not to masturbate. I think in some extreme kind of offshoots of biblical interpretation, they even tell you, like, any kind of sex where you're not just straight jetting inside a woman to try and conceive is sinful. They have this thing called the sin of Onan. You ever heard about this?
No.
It's where we get the word onanism to mean masturbation from, the sin of Onan. The sin of Onan was the guy spilt his spunk on the floor when he jetted. He didn't. He didn't. He didn't. He
didn't wipe that up, wouldn't he?
He didn't do something proper with it. And proper, of course, in this instance, is that it's got to go
on his own chest.
Womb. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
No. Womb. No tits. No jetting on tits. It's all wrong. So you got that, right? And then it's like you know, when you start to contextualize it, it explains things like, you know, why they tell you not to eat pork. Because obviously they didn't have ovens that you could preheat to 240 degrees back then. You were cooking on fire, right? And unfortunately, there's a particular type of bacteria in pork. I think it's called trichoniosis, which would make you ill. Undercooked pork will straight kill you. Undercooked beef won't. You can have beef rare, different types of bacteria. You might get E. coli. You might get the shit. I just like to think that everyone back then just had diarrhea, by the way.
Yeah, constantly.
They're just constantly shitting. But, you know, that's why they say don't eat pork, because it's dirty. I mean, it ain't. This is why, you know, we should revise this now, because we know it ain't. We know it, but that's why they do that. So anyway, back to these gay lions. So obviously, religion is where the stigma comes from. And it's ridiculous, isn't it? But what we also don't need to do is start trying to compare the human mind to an animal's mind. And if they do something, it neither validates nor invalidates anything that humans do. It's like when people say, well, why do you think people are out there murdering everyone? We're all animals at the end of the day. What do you think happens in nature? Yeah, well, unfortunately, I don't think people getting popped, you know, for their fucking wallets. I don't think that's really analogous to, you know, an eagle swooping down and eating a rabbit. It's not the same, is it? But people try and make combinations of the two. And what I'm saying is, humans are very flawed beings, but we're probably the best example of an intelligent creature on planet Earth. I mean, we're not great, but we're better than lions. So apparently loads of people got mad upset by this. Some people got mad upset about the fact that the lions were gay. And some people were trying to say, we don't even know that. Yeah, we don't even know that. We don't even know that. I mean, there are definitely two male lions having a bum. I mean, that's just a fact. Like, and then you got all the sort of gay activists who are going, haha, this proves everything we've ever said, you homophobes. And it's, I'm not entirely sure it does. There's some wicked romantic pictures. I mean, these lions are really into it. You can see here, like if you look at the last one especially, that lion's really loving it. Just put him on his back, and you can see his eyes through the grass, the one on the bottom, and he's thinking, fucking hell. hurry up, mate. That's the look of every woman I've ever been in bed with. Can you just finish, please, and go away? But, you know, obviously, in prison, right, people get bumped as a means of, you know, power and establishing dominance. It's a weapon. Why we're trying to write a fucking fan fiction about two lions who've discovered that they love each other in a world and society that doesn't understand. You know, I don't think that's what's going on here. I think most likely that lion that's bigger than the other lion.
No myth.
Yeah, they might do it. Lion King 3. So the circle of life. But yeah, it just seemed to me really strange. So anyway, let's get back to Huffington Post and the mental illness. An open letter to gay white men, as I said, you know, like, isn't it great that we now live in a time where gay people don't have to live clandestine lifestyles, or certainly to a much lesser degree, there is no stigma about it. Isn't it great that in the UK, we no longer have laws that stop gay people being teachers, or certainly they couldn't declare that they were gay if they wanted to be a teacher? You know, it's shocking. I mean, that was in my lifetime, Sam. It's mental that it existed. But it's over now. So I'm like, oh, Huffington Post wrote this open letter, so this is going to be really good. I'm going to look forward to this. So let's have a read and see what they've got to say, Sam, because I think this might be enlightening and nice and uplifting. So, there's another line in the title. An open letter to gay white men. No, you're not allowed to have a racial preference.
Why, though?
You may want to take my words to heart if you like to live up to those progressive memes you share on Facebook all the time. So, all right. Okay, I'm locked in. Dear gay white men, before I begin, I want you to understand I'm not calling all of you racist, just most of you. I've never been one to throw that word around casually, and even though I'm sure there are some that the word would fit like a glove, I'm not talking to them. I'm talking to you, the cisgendered, white gay men out there who hold no ill will towards minorities, especially black and brown ones, but somehow have never found themselves in bed with one. You're good guys. I know this to be true. You mean well when it comes to race relations, but as a white man in the world, you must admit you have no clue what it means to be racially discriminated against. Yeah, I'm sure a gay person would have no idea what it's like to be discriminated against. I mean, totally. They would have no idea whatsoever, would they? I mean, there's only like all those rules and laws that discriminate against them, which existed after we'd removed all the laws that established black people as being inferior to white. You know, gay people were being legally discriminated against. But they've got no idea, obviously. As a result, there are often times when you don't recognize when your behavior towards people of color veers into problematic territory. As a black man within the gay community, I recognize that shit all the time, and I have a few points I'd like to discuss with you. I'm not here to judge you, definitely are. There's only one capital H-I-M, and it's not me. But you may want to take my words to heart if you like to live up to those progressive memes you share on Facebook all the time. So, okay, let's have a scroll. What are you going to say here? Well, it says the epicenter of your problematic behavior towards my kind, your dating app profile, and this is what oppression is in 2017. There I was on a gay dating app, and I didn't like what was on your profile. You are oppressing me. I know it can be hard to find the right words while expressing your preferences when it comes to what you're looking for in a partner. Whatever you're looking for, Mr. Right or Mr. Yeah Daddy right there.
Sound
reasonable. There was a joke there. I was nearly made, and I'm glad I didn't. Tell you later. But I can't help but notice that a lot of you get lost, like really lost, when it comes to stating your preferences properly. To be clear, you're allowed to describe the kind of guy you're looking for and the things that turn you on, but specifying the race of your desired partner is a line that is not to be crossed. It comes off as racist, and that's because it is. All right, well, I've got to say, Sam, like, honestly, do you have a preference?
A racial preference?
Yeah.
Not really.
See, I don't either.
I'm not that ass. I'm more the person to person, innit?
Yeah, and I'm not saying some people don't. You know, I've known guys who say they'll only exclusively date Asian women. I've known guys who said they'll only date Eastern European women. You know, like, but then again, I know people who say, well, I only like women with dark hair.
Yeah, no one cares about that, do they?
Yeah, you know, and that's genetic. So it's in the ballpark, right? But, you know, I mean, I suppose, I guess it's in the framing, isn't it? If it was like, no, would never date them or their kind. Right, okay, yeah. might be racist. If you just say, you know, I got a preference towards this particular group, it's not the same, is it? Right? So anyway, let's see what else he says. I've had this conversation with more than a couple of white gays. All right, not white gay people, or white men. I mean, they're obviously gay within the context of this thing. And here is where the debate usually begins. I'm going to assume that you're rolling your eyes at me right now. That's fine. And to make you feel more heard, more heard. Oh, yeah, more heard. I'll even repeat the most common point used to counter my argument. But people like what they like. Can't change that. I mean, that is kind of true. I've heard that excuse or some iteration of it used many times, almost as if it's a magic phrase that just kind of ends the conversation and absolves you of your bullshit. I'll put aside the fact that broadcasting your distaste for an entire race, definitely not doing that, or multiple races in the year 2017 is really dumb, in addition to being racist as fuck. All right. So that's what you're saying. Well, where does he go from here, Sam? Because obviously, what if black and Asian guys only want to date black and Asian guys? What happens there, mate? Well, fortunately, they explain that. So what if black and Asian men choose to only date other black and Asian men? Isn't that racist too? No. All right, okay. Now I'm interested. Look, all men are created equal, but all men are not valued equally, especially in this country. Every black and Asian man who grew up on this planet grew up surrounded by positive images of whiteness and white men. Therefore, our desire to date within our own race when we choose to is not rooted in any assertion made by society that we're better than anyone else. I know this is a lot to digest, so I'll just boil it down to this. If your preference for a partner supports an existing racial hierarchy which marginalizes minorities, then your preferences are racist. And yes, that includes you rice queens and chocolate chasers too. So I don't know what a rice queen or a chocolate chaser is. I can hazard a guess. I'm going to guess that a rice queen isn't somebody that likes Thai food. And a chocolate chaser isn't somebody who likes Reese's Pieces like Josh Raven. I'm guessing what he's done there is he's kind of made some weird racial wording of people's preferences. So to be clear, let's look at the rules. If you don't want to date anyone who isn't the same, if you're white and you don't want to date anyone who isn't white, you are racist. But if you're black or Asian or any other color that isn't white and you don't want to date white people, then you're not racist because you can't be racist. But if you do date non-white people, you're also racist because you fetishize them. You're not really left with a lot of options as a gay white man in this man's mind, are you? That's Donovan Trott, by the way. And he's making a film, Sam.
I'm glad.
Do you want to know what his film's called?
Hit me.
No chocolate, no rice.
Oh, he likes those phrases then, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think it might be a diet movie. I don't know. But yeah, what a mad mentally ill cunt as well. You can't really do anything, mate. You just can't. But anyway, that's the halfway point of the show. As per usual, the second half of the show will be a bit more serious. Probably. We'll leave gay lions out of it. Yeah, fuck me. I can't even believe these people, Sam. I can't believe it. It boggles my mind. I feel myself losing brain cells the more and more I talk about these people, you know?
I still can't believe he said chupacabra, man. I still can't believe he went chupacabra.
Anyway, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk about some more stuff, including we're gonna do some follow-up stories to things that we've covered before, including the Black Lives Matters representative that got straight wrecked on Tucker Carlson's show, also got straight wrecked as soon as she got off it. We're going to talk about why Sweden is utterly fucked. There's many reasons for that. And also as well, what it's like to be a Jack Sparrow lookalike working at Disney World. So we'll be back in a few minutes. All right, then. So welcome back. Let's get into it then. We've got all sorts of bits and pieces to get through. And I did tease a few. So let's start with the woman who was on Tucker Carlson. People who watch the show regularly will remember that they got somebody on to talk about, Black Lives Matter having this kind of not a rally, but it was more like a celebration where white people were forbidden from attending, and Tucker Carlson's kind of take on it, much like my own, is that racial segregation is inherently an act of racism, and once you start excluding people on the basis of race, you are engaged in an act of racism. Well, there was somebody called Lisa Durden who went on the show to justify it, and you may remember she had that what was it, ridiculous quote where she said it's white boy day every day.
Yeah.
Well, good news, because after an unbelievably belligerent, borderline hysterical appearance on the Tucker Carlson show where she tried to defend racial segregation, she got suspended. She was a professor, of course, at Essex County College, and she got told that she had to cancel her classes and report to the Human Resource Department 2 days after her appearance. So this was reported over here. This is in the Star Ledger. You can see the report here. And she seemed indignant. She didn't seem to understand why a college or university that isn't evergreen would want somebody to be out there preaching for racial segregation. So here's what she had to say about it. And I'm so fucking glad that she got owned, because she really was a dislikable shit. You can see it. They did this to humiliate me. Essex County College publicly lynched me in front of my students. I would like to think, as a black person, you would probably understand how racially loaded that term is, which I'm sure she does, and it just shows the really ugly mindset of this individual. So yeah, some of the quotes that she said while she was on the show: "White folks crack me up. All of a sudden, we want one day for black folks to focus on ourselves, but you've been having white days forever, and you don't say the words anymore because you know it's politically incorrect." It's not just politically incorrect, is it? I mean, it would be illegal if I was to have a gathering in a professional capacity in public property or even privately owned property and say, right, no black people are allowed. I'm probably going to get a knock on the door from some people in blue uniforms, and I'm going to be charged with a hate crime. And, you know, rightly so. I don't think you should be excluding people on the basis of race from anything. So there was that. She's hired an attorney, Sam, because that's what you do these days. Hopefully it's not the shrill one that did Kathy Griffin. But it says here,
because she's a woman.
Yeah. Says the attorney said, there's got to be some other agenda. It seems to me they're going to make up some reason. We've got to figure out what it is and why. Is she too outspoken, perhaps? The college, the college responded and said, the college promotes a community of unity that is inclusive of all. The general counsel has handled this matter in a way that complies with New Jersey state law. I am not at liberty to provide further details. So she got fired. And it's good. It's good to see a university that's willing to actually stand up to people promoting racial segregation. Perhaps Evergreen could learn a thing or two about that. All right. So I did also say Sweden is fucked. Now, Sweden is fucked. It's fucked for a lot of reasons. I don't really like it as anymore. I used to like Sweden. I used to like going there. I used to enjoy it. But it is plagued with a lot of social problems. I'm not going to go on some mad Islamophobic rant if anyone's getting a little bit nervous. I don't necessarily see that as the problem. They've got socioeconomic problems. I mean, Sweden has always had the highest suicide rate in Europe and Scandinavia. Always, for as long as I've been alive. If it's changed recently, I'd like to know. They used to make a joke about how the Volvo car used to come with an exhaust to window attachment pipe because Swedes seem to love to off themselves in record numbers. And there's probably a lot of reasons for that. Again, socioeconomic reasons. But it's always a country that's had problems. And when I went there, I told you the story about there was, because I used to do a lot of voluntary work with the homeless. I got a particular sensitivity to it. It's not something I can really walk on by. If I see somebody clearly struggling or in distress on the streets, I don't. I can't walk past. I can't do that anymore because, I spend a lot of time talking to people, and most of these people have, not sob stories, just real upsetting stories about how they've been failed by multiple elements of society, very often starting with their own families, and slip through the cracks. I can't be a hardline conservative about that and say, well, they made bad choices. I mean, that might be a part of it. That might be a reality. But, the time for lecturing and gloating isn't when someone's at absolute rock bottom, right? So when I was in Stockholm last, I saw two homeless old ladies on the streets. And they were clearly, they were wearing garb that I would associate with the Roma community, but they were old. I mean, they were a similar age to my mother, or they certainly looked that way. Obviously, if you've been on the street for a long time, it does shave some, years off your life, makes you look older, and, because you're living in terrible conditions. So I woke. They were one was awake, and I went over and I said, "Oh, look here. Here's some money. Here's my Swedish money. I go back tomorrow anyway. You may as well take it all. You should share it," because there was another lady next to her asleep. And I was like, you should share that with her when she wakes up. Make sure you all get something to eat. The assumption on my part was that they were maybe family or friends, because they were lying on the same bed and huddled together. But the other one woke up while I was in the process of giving this money to the other one, saw that I was giving money to the other one, and they started fighting over the money, punching each other, trying to wrestle the money out of the hand. I'd caused two old ladies to basically have a brawl. Now, in this moment, I got a little bit panicky, because I thought, what if somebody thinks I'm a cruel, evil man who has paid two old ladies
to
fight for my amusement, right? Which I definitely didn't do.
Right, leader Richard Lewis pays old women to fight. Bong. Right.
But it was in that dusky time of night. People were getting up and going to work. So there's people around, and I'm like, no, please, stop this. I'm having a fight between two little homeless old ladies. And it just really depressed me. And I'd given her all of the money, and she wouldn't share, and I only had English money left. And I got it out, and I said, I've only got English money. And then she wanted that, so I gave her that. And I walked 100 meters down the road, and there was a Swedish police officer kind of just walking around. And I was like, dude, there's two old ladies having a fight up there because I've given them money. And he was just like, yeah, there's loads of homeless people up there. He said, don't worry about it, because the chances are all that money you've given them is going to go to an organized crime leader. And I went, sorry. And he said, yes, what they do is they find homeless people, and they basically make them scared for their lives. And the homeless people beg and beg and beg. And then they come round and they take 75% of the money that they've got from begging as a sideline of organized crime.
How can that be what organized crime does nowadays? They're taking a cut on begging. And you're supposed to take cuts on, businesses and shit, not just buskers.
But there was an almost jocular tone to his voice. You know, like, you crazy bastard. Why are they even fighting over it? And apparently it becomes even more sinister, if you can believe this, Sam, because I was really fucked up with it. So I went and sat in the McDonald's or wherever, having a coffee, and I was meeting some other Swedish people who were out there, and I told them the mad turn of events, because it's another one of like Richard Lewis's mad things that have happened to him. People think I'm a serial liar, but I just seem to attract insanity and weirdness. And they went, yeah, that police officer was right. And what they do is, if you don't make enough money, they set you a target, and if you don't make enough, you know, they beat you up or kill you, inject you with poison, and no one thinks anything of it, because you find a dead homeless body, a homeless body of somebody from another country, doesn't even necessarily have any records whatsoever in the country you're in. Who gives a fuck? You're not going to investigate a murder. You wouldn't even know where to begin. It's far better to assume that they just injected something, not that they were being killed. So, you know, I thought, fucking hell, this is Sweden, you know? It's like a civilized country and stuff. So it really flummoxed me. And then I've watched how they've introduced these rules that just, you know, and laws that just seem to not address some of the issues they've got, you know? I mean, Sweden should be a way more prosperous country than it is. I shouldn't be walking through the streets of Stockholm seeing row after row after row of homeless people sleeping on inflatable mattresses outside of shops. Where's, you know, this is, there are issues. I don't even want to get into the rapes and the sexual assault stuff, because people think that's racially charged. I think it's odd that Sweden has such, you know, high numbers. And I suppose I will accept the explanation that it's because there's a lower criteria of what constitutes rape, coupled with the fact that each individual instance of sexual assault or rape gets counted. So maybe. But it just seems to be a country that has these weird problems, like under the surface. And then you're like, well, okay, what are you doing about these societal problems, Sweden? Well, what we've done is we've got schools to agree to give out a book about why everyone should be a feminist. Really? Is that the thing? Is that what we're doing? You know, I just don't know. I think the priorities are all out of fucking whack. So I did see this story the other day, and it kind of just blew my fucking mind, right? That this could even happen. And of course, the only country it could happen to is, you know, Sweden. So Sweden had a guy, right, who was a very prominent Islamophobia expert. And he informed, you know, levels of government, right, about the problem that they had. So, you know, the problems of Islamophobia in a country that was taking on more and more refugees, you know, in a country where, as we've talked about on the show before, they had a children's video saying, you know, my country is your country. And they had them all do, you know, these Swedish kids doing the one finger salute and stuff, which I thought was just a bit weird, like just indoctrinative kind of propaganda. You know, I don't want children necessarily to have to think about the socioeconomic realities of migrants fleeing a war zone and bringing over very different cultural ideals to the one that they're going to be taught in schools. And the vast majority, I'm sure, will adopt, like we all have to, right? The cultural ideals of the country within which we live. You know, I follow the laws in America, which obviously are different in some instances to the laws in where I'm from, Britain. But I live here, so I'm all about the laws. And the vast majority of people who go to foreign countries operate on that proviso. And it's a very unruly minority that cause issues. And that's just a reality of any form of migration. But that being said, I don't think Sweden has ever really tried to look too deeply at some of these issues because I think they're worried about being perceived to be racist. I think the worst thing that can happen in Sweden is the idea that they were thought of as a racist country, you know, and they're clearly not. But they definitely need to just have a look at some things that are going on and maybe address some of the issues that they've allowed to happen. So Michael Skramo was a guy who was an expert on Islamophobia and informed government bodies about how they could make their policies more Islam friendly and more welcoming of Muslims who would come to Sweden. Okay, that might be a noble cause. Problem is, shortly after he filed for a lot of like sort of government related benefits for whatever reason, he decided to join ISIS, which, you know, kind of a bad look, isn't it, really? So this was reported in this Swedish paper here. So it's quite a well-known story. It's become a bit of a meme. It's like representative of kind of Sweden's ongoing issues, this wrestling with their own identity. They want to be a country that's seen to be progressive, but there are elements within their own country that are purely destructive and don't hold any value in the values that Sweden want to be known for. And they're trying to find a consensus. Now, I've said this multiple times. Where ISIS are different to the IRA, right? Because when ISIS are bombing things, you know, everyone goes, yeah, well, actually, it was still a lot worse with you know, the Basque separatists and the IRA. Here's the difference. You get the IRA round the table and you say, what do you want, IRA? And they go, you know, well, we want fucking a united Ireland. We want Northern Ireland to be given back. And we want, you know, free from English rule. And we want all our prisoners released. Now, if you wanted, you could, as a sovereign nation, say, you know what? It's not worth having 3,000, 8,000 or whatever it was over the course of the Troubles. It's not worth having people just getting blown up indiscriminately by nail bombs. So, yeah, all right, then. Here's your demands met. Have it back. Right? And they'd probably accept that. And then there'd be issues within that process. And you'd probably still get groups who didn't want to go back. Right? Loyalists. So, yeah, they'd be fighting and we'd have to intervene and be a peacekeeper. But eventually, you know, I'm not saying it'd go full Israel and Palestine. Eventually, you'd probably solve it. Everyone would stop and it'd all be good. And, you know, we kind of would have arrived at a similar point to where we're at now. Things would just be a little bit different on a map. That's pretty much it, right? So we could have done that. And it's the same with the Basque separatists, isn't it? Hi, Basque separatists, what do you want? Well, we want the Basque region to be completely independent, autonomous of Spanish rule, right? That's what they want. Let's get ISIS around the table. So ISIS, what do you want? The complete destruction of the Western world and all people who do not conform to the most extreme interpretation of Islam, Wahhabist and Salafist Islam, and want Sharia law. But basically, it is just mainly the complete destruction of the Western world. And you go, yeah, we what about if we don't ban the burqa? You know what I mean? There's no room for negotiation with ISIS, really. There's no room for there is no middle ground. You can't get them around a table and say, let's have a compromise. You can't do that. So ISIS, it's a bit of a problem, you see. And that's why I'm saying anybody who holds these extremist belief systems, particularly the Wahhabist and Salafist school of Islam, which has been exported. You know, we talk about this on the show a lot. That is the issue. The fact that that's been funded and has proliferated with Saudi money. That's the issue. It's not your average common or garden Shia or Sunni Muslim. You know, that's a myth. That's bullshit. But unfortunately, it's a particularly pernicious type of belief system. It's naturally combative in its presentation. It tells you that even the people who want to help you, are evil. They're doing so predicated on bad intentions, and ultimately they can never be good or righteous because they are, by definition, kafir. That's it. They cannot be anything other than that. They will always be the infidel. This is the problem with Wahhabist and Salafist Islam. So when your Islamophobia expert goes and joins ISIS, it probably says that, maybe there are some elements within Sweden, perhaps some of them close to government, that maybe do have a fucked up belief system, and we should just sort of analyze that. We should just analyze that and just have a look, right? But they didn't. Now, here's the kicker. He still gets, let me just tell you how much it is. He was getting £53,000 annually in state handouts from the Swedish government as of the end of 2016. And he fled Sweden when he joined ISIS to go to Syria to fight on behalf of ISIS. And now what he's done as of last week, he's called, this is how much he valued everything Sweden did for him, the £53,000 and everything else. He's now called in for a tax on Sweden. And he's also asked any Islamist in Sweden to come and join the Islamic Caliphate. So they've got, there's a picture of him if you want to have a look. Which is just, it'll warm your heart. It's a family photo, Sam. Here he is.
Sound.
That's him there with a kid in front of an ISIS flag holding what looks to be a real AK, while his kid is holding a not real gun. So I don't know. Are there any wide-reaching messages? Is there anything you can really glean from all of this? No, there probably isn't. But here's the issue, isn't there? I mean, I hate the way that Sweden try and represent that. If you find this ridiculous, if you find this faintly ridiculous, that this is happening in their country, that there's stories like this, multiple stories like this, they all say the same thing. They all say that, this is just fascist propaganda. That this type of thing is only reported in the news by people who wildly misinterpret the facts and have a fascist or racist or whatever agenda. Now, it was like when Tim Pool took Paul Joseph Watson's offer to go to Sweden, right? Because Paul Joseph Watson was on Twitter boasting about how he would pay for someone to go, and he said, no one will go. He said, if you think Sweden has got integration and immigration and everything all sorted, and you think it's all perfectly fine, here's some money, I will pay for you to go and report on what you see. And this is how Tim Pool rose to prominence. He accepted the offer. He was a relatively smaller kind of tech journalist, and he said he'd go. And all the liberal publications went, that'll shut Paul Joseph Watson up. He's been made to look a fool. And Tim Pool went out, and to begin with, his original reports were kind of like, yeah, this is all right, actually. And then he started interviewing government officials who said, oh, yeah, we do have no-go zones. Then he started interviewing police officers anonymously who said, yeah, we've been attacked, and we get all these instructions when we arrest people that we can't mention whether they're an immigrant or not in police report, or when we talk to the press, because we'll be accused of racism. Then Tim Pool went to one of these zones and got attacked, and then got told to leave, and people were following him. And all of the people who were going, this'll show the world, they shut up. They stopped talking about it. Now, This is why Tim Pool started being told he was a racist, he was a fascist, he had an agenda. This is a tech journalist who just accepted an offer and reported what he saw. He had film evidence or recorded evidence of everything he talked about. And again, all of a sudden, he's been pushed into that, he's alt-right, and he's alt-right. He took money from Paul Joseph Watson to go to Sweden. It was all a goof, wasn't it? I mean, it weren't. The initial reports that were coming in, I don't think, everyone was laughing at Paul Joseph Watson, going, look, there's no bloody, so much for your no-go zones, ha, 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 ha. And then as Tim Pool got in and started working his way around and digging up and talking to more and more people, turns out some areas of Sweden do have some issues that need to be addressed. And as I said, it's not just immigration. Sweden is a country that have a lot of problems that they've papered over. And it reminds me of the approach, for example, in 1986, when the Argentinian junta they were hosting a World Cup. They were hosting a World Cup, and they had all these unbelievable social problems, poverty, slums, crime, because this is what happens when you exist in a country that has a corrupt and decadent government that gets overthrown by a military revolution who then implements something akin to communism while they try and get all the shit figured out. Issues occur. So what they did was, for the people who were coming out for the World Cup, they had a wall. This sounds familiar. They built a wall and they painted houses on it, nice looking houses. So people who were flying in couldn't see the slums and the poverty behind them. And this is what Sweden are doing, in a very real, this is what the Swedish government and Swedish apologists are doing in a very real kind of way. They're glossing over their problems. They're obfuscating their problems, which I say exist at all levels. It's not just Islam. It's not just immigration. They've got financial problems. They've got high suicide rates. They got a homeless crisis that they're not talking about. Sweden's got real fucking problems. They got, imagine a world. I've never heard of anything like that, where there's organized crime mobs co-opting homeless people, and if they don't get above a certain amount in begging money, they just kill them. And the police are aware of this, and they're so stretched they can't do anything about it except with a wry chuckle tell a British tourist, don't give homeless people money. This romanticization of Sweden is ridiculous. Anyway, that got a little bit heavy. I wasn't expecting it to go in that direction. I did reach out to Tim Pool, actually.
What, about coming on the show?
Yeah, and he seemed warm to the idea.
Big. Love that one.
So it'd be great to get him on. And we can talk. I think we'll make that a kind of Swedish-focused episode. But obviously he's very busy, and he's way above my food. He's way higher up the food chain than me. If I hadn't been busy, I should have took that Paul Joseph Watson money and gone to Sweden, right?
Yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah. Although I'm sure everyone's saying, you never go. There's an outstanding warrant for your arrest after you beat Loader with a baseball bat, which is totally what happened. So I'm interested in hearing his perspective on it, because he covered it extensively and talked to people that I certainly wouldn't get to talk to. But I genuinely think when you see mad shit like that, like what this Islamophobia expert who's been informing government policy and telling you, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do. Ha ha! I was ISIS all along. Like, fucking come on, guys. How does no one know this? Where's your intelligence community? Yeah, it's mad. Here's an interesting thing as well, just while we're on that topic. We keep hearing about how you'll see a lot of like verified liberals on Twitter going, remember, you are more likely to be killed by a crazy white Christian right-wing male than anyone else in the world ever.
Yeah.
Right? They tell you that, yeah? And even they say this even in the face of, rising Islam extremism, rising Antifa activity. So it was with great interest that I noticed there was this report that came out by Europol, who are obviously, as it seems, a European police agency. You can read up on them here. And they compiled this report about terrorism across Europe. Now, I'll give you the bullet points. You're going to like this. And there's a reason that this hasn't been reported or picked up as a big story kind of in the mainstream media, because it actually points to trends that people don't want to talk about. So you can see right off the bat there, it says there was 142 foiled, or completed terrorist attacks in Europe last year, right? And here are the numbers. 27 of them were attributed towards left-wing extremists. 99 of them, the vast majority, were what they called separatist attacks. So these are obviously people who want to break away from their own governments domestically. So political terrorism, I suppose, would be a good summation. People who have a particular issue with a dominant political party in their country, like the Basque separatists we were just talking about, and the IRA, that sort of thing. So a lot of that kind of thing still going on. 13 attacks were jihadist, Islamic jihadist. So that's interesting, isn't it? Left-wing extremism had double the number of attacks of Islamic jihadists across Europe. Now, don't worry, Islamic extremism still gets the gold medal in terms of deaths, because attacks which led to deaths are almost exclusively Islamic. Out of the 142 deaths that occurred, 135 were due to Islamic terror, and 374 of the 379 people injured were due to jihadist terror. But out of all of these numbers, there was only one attack that was committed by a right-wing extremist, and it happened in the Netherlands. So I thought that was interesting, that report was released into the public and no one said a thing. Nobody said, this to me is the kind of report that I would want to see, broken down in the mainstream media, right? This is an interesting talking point. First of all, it shows what we already know, that while it's particularly violent and aggressive and worrying in Europe, Islamic terror isn't as prevalent as you may believe from the constant news coverage. It's definitely still something that needs to be stopped. It's definitely still something that we need to be vigilant about, and it's definitely something that is a worrying trend and is on the rise. But the majority of terrorist attacks is still politically based, political in its nature, and we have now got this incredible rising number of left-wing attackers. Left-wing extremism is the dominant form of sort of targeted terrorism in Europe. Isn't that mad? Isn't that mad? And isn't it mad how those numbers there, hard data, isn't being, it's not being picked up anywhere. I tried looking at this report. I typed in, Europol report, just to see what was happening in the news. And it brings up the report. It brings up, what else have we got? InfoWars, right? They link to it. This is it pretty much. Then it's like an older report from BBC News. There's no wow, fuck, actually, what people have been saying about the increase of left-wing extremism and violent rhetoric coming from the left and the rise of Antifa It's actually a dangerous systemic terrorist thing now that's creating genuine problems in Europe and will cause problems in America. It's only going to get worse. How interesting that nobody wants to report that. I don't know. It's almost as if the news only wants to feed you what they want you to know. And again, look, my stance on InfoWars. I've said it multiple times on the show that I don't consider them a credible source of news. But they did do a story on that report where it's not on the BBC. They report about all of the terrorist atrocities that happen, but a report that kind of breaks down the data of it isn't newsworthy, apparently. Seems strange that they did that. So let me just, because I want to end on the fucking Jack Sparrow thing. How are we doing for time?
We're about an hour, 2 hours 10 in. 2 hours.
Oh shit, we're already gone past 2 hours.
Yeah.
Might have to save the other stuff then. Might have to save it because I had the Linda Sarsour stuff. She basically promoted a fundraiser for a racist attack that didn't happen.
Great.
So we go full circle. Well, I'll tell you what, fuck it, we'll end on that. We'll do the Jack Sparrow thing. We'll bang this out real quick. A little bit of brevity, lift the mood, get us laughing again. You want to know the best fucking job in the world, mate? Looking a bit like Jack Sparrow. Wait till you hear this shit. It fucking blew my mind. So there I was, just having a browse, like I do. I like to just read, fucking, whatever madness is going on in the news, crazy, obscure articles and this sort of thing. And there it was in Los Angeles Magazine, LA Mag. Jack Sparrow and I are friends, and ex-Jack Sparrow spills on life at Disneyland in this feature. So some of these stories are just mental. Like, I wish I looked a bit like Jack Sparrow instead of looking like Davy Jones. But look, like everyone, I grew up going to Disneyland. Even as an adult, I loved it there and went at least once a month. I was an annual pass holder, though not like the freaky ones you may have heard of. I'd see the park's characters and think it'd be so cool to work here, but there was never a character I really wanted to play. I had a role on the television show Veronica Mars and was working at Coco's when a friend told me Disneyland was casting a Jack Sparrow character. I had already played Jack as a hobby at San Diego's Comic-Con and the Renaissance Fair. So 37 actors showed up that day, 4 of us in costume. Only 8 were chosen for the next round. We were told we would be auditioning the next day at Disneyland. When I showed up, there were now 23 guys. 15 that had been pulled from in-house auditions. There was this assistant who would come in and pull people one by one. Steve, can you come with me? Then you never see Steve again. Finally, I was sitting all alone in the room. After 15 minutes, they pulled me into another room where there were just 2 guys sitting, and they told us we were going to be Disneyland's first Jack Sparrows. Right? Imagine that, Sam. This is where it starts to get a little bit weird, because I didn't know it would be like this. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean's a kids movie, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Well, it's at Disneyland, so...
Yeah, I'm just saying, they are kids' films. Don't get me wrong, love a bit of Keira Knightley. It's unfortunate that Johnny Depp had to go off the rails like he did. Because I used to like Johnny Depp. And then he started drunkenly beating his wife, and now he's calling for presidential assassination. So I got to file him in the fucking bin of former greats who have made questionable decisions and said questionable things. There can be no forgiveness, Sam. They must all be cleansed from my memory. But anyway, just here's the next line. Disney warned us we were going to have a lot of horny women coming onto us. It's like Tariq Nasheed had a fucking job at Disney. Like, yeah, you got to watch out for them Asian girls, the chupacabras and shit.
Latino ones, they're bitches straight drug mules. You don't fuck with those, dog. They fuck you up.
And they all got bad breath. You feel me? So anyway, Disney warned us we were going to have a lot of horny women coming onto us. They were also worried about girls. I heard Disneyland had an Esmeralda from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. She was very flirtatious, and they finally pulled her because men found her too sexually arousing and were acting out. The male character they just pulled was Tarzan. He moved around the treehouse dressed in just a butt flap. Disney had hired these good-looking muscular guys, even airbrushing abs on, and apparently there was excessive pinching of Tarzan's ass by the park's female visitors. Knowing all this, and also knowing that what women were like around Jack at the Renaissance Fair, I told the other guys, don't complain if girls flirt with you too much. If you do, they'll pull the character from the park. So, I mean, I thought this was interesting, because first of all, what is wrong? Who goes to Disneyland to sexually harass the people who dress up there, right? Who does that? And second of all, this article, again, it's out in cyberspace. It's about wholesale sexual harassment of men. Not a ripple. Yes, the patriarchy oppresses us all. Hey, there's these men getting sexually harassed over there. They get made to dress up in the fucking sexually desirable, unrealistic body expectation for women, and they get touched and groped and molested to the point where they then they lose their jobs for not being able to stop the women molesting them. Where's the outrage? Yeah, but men can't be sexually harassed, so just grow the fuck up and walk it off. Caught me slipping, mate. They caught me slipping. So no outrage about this. But, I mean, it just blew my fucking mind. Because, I Disneyland, and it sounds like it's just some mad sex frenzy, you know? So Disney wanted us to tone Jack down. It's an indictment of Johnny Depp's acting, isn't it? Like, yeah, he's a bit fucking extreme, but, we signed him up for 10
Can you go
minutes.
less, Keith Richards, please?
Yeah. So he put us through an acting class to discover reasons why Jack walks and talks the way he does. Obviously, he is based on Keith Richards, who's always messed up, which is why they came up with the class. Don't be flirtatious, they told us. See women as trouble. And they said, as far as alcohol goes, don't even mention drinking. Right, but the Pirates of the Caribbean song is all about drinking, and they drink all along the ride. So I eventually broke that rule because it would have taken me out of character. When parents took pictures, I'd say, everyone say rum, and the parents loved it, and the kids would just ask, what's rum, and why is mummy touching that man's penis?
And why is Tarzan being chased?
And why is the song Wash Your Ass being played in the background?
Wash your ass!
When training started, I found out the park allowed mustaches, but had a no facial hair policy for all employees. I had the Jack goatee, and I threw a small fit. No facial hair for this character. Why would you want to glue on a mustache in summer? You can see the glue. I took a day to consider if I wanted the job. I walked the park, and suddenly I saw the most amazing Belle I'd ever seen. Beautiful. She was coming out of the character's entrance near Star Tours and bantering with Push the Talking Trash Can. An entire crowd was being entertained, and that just sold me. I thought, I still want to work here. So I had a MySpace page as Jack Sparrow, and I asked if I could keep that. They said no. 2 days later, an assistant found a blog I'd written about auditioning. They said, you've got to take that blog down in 2 hours or you have no job. They said, you cannot give out any information about auditioning for Jack Sparrow. I also had to sign documents that stated if I was in the park and out of costume, I wasn't allowed to say I played Jack Sparrow. I was told that the thing for employees to say was, I am friends with Jack Sparrow. I was worried I couldn't do the character at Renaissance fairs anymore, but as long as I didn't make money off it, I was told I could put on my own costume outside the park. Good old Disney.
Thank God.
Thanks for that. It took over an hour to get the Disney suit on. In the dressing room, there was one long makeup table and a wall with a long mirror. I think over 100 character actors were there. You had the face characters like Jack, Aladdin, the Mad Hatter, and you had fuzzies, the characters in costumes. They're called fuzzies. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
Fairies, usually.
Yeah. And there was the sick, demented cunts who like to dress up as Pluto and have sex with each other. The face characters and the fuzzies dressed apart. There was a ranking system in the dressing room. If you were a princess, you pretty much got that long mirror wall. For some reason, the Jacks always ended up in the back corner. As Jack, I had 4-hour-long sets a day. We worked in New Orleans Square. I would find a place I liked, and the host would set up my line. A host is someone who helps run the line of people that want to meet you. They're basically your security. When we started, Disney thought they wouldn't give us a host. They thought we'd mingle. I laughed at that. I said, I don't want to be the guy that knows it all, but from Renaissance fairs, I can guarantee you this character will have the park's longest line. Disney invited a Jack Sparrow autograph, invented a Jack Sparrow autograph the three of us learned. So you even have to learn different handwriting for the part. Probably taking it a bit too far at that point.
Yeah, I remember reading into it, like, they test you, so when you become a character, you have to be able to do the same signature, the same over and over again. And if it's different, they won't let you in. And, like, you have to do it as, like, an animal. So, like, a Pluto would have a little paw, and you'd have to draw weird shit. Yeah, it's pretty creepy.
Pretty mental. You never know when the casting department were going to come into the park and watch you. They would come out of nowhere. If a character does something a parent believes is wrong, that's the video that will go on YouTube. I was on YouTube after I sat in a lady's stroller. It's something I often did, and parents would laugh and take pictures, but management came to me and said, it looks like you're sitting down on the job, and we can't have that. Right? I'll be honest, I didn't follow all the Disney rules. I played Jack like he was real, and if a woman flirted, I would flirt back. Women loved it, but there were also women who would have too many beers or smuggle in alcohol, and you could smell it on their breath, their bad breath. Women who were clearly sloshed. Here's a napkin someone wrote for me. I will give you a blowjob on your break. So sexy, Kim. And there's a phone number. I would also get offers from women in my ear. Anything you want, just find me. I had a girl who turned 18 the day before. She was with a high school group, and she wrote down her room number at the downtown Disney Hotel. I had a lady hump my leg one day in the park. And they even had a thing saying, Disney prefers if you don't date while you have the job. And they have a slogan called Don't Date Disney. DDD. So it's what a fucking mad head fuck. And he's just getting mad ass. Like all the time. Just because he pretends to be Jack Sparrow. And he's at a park. And it's for kids. And the parents just come and get wrecked and try and fuck them.
Just try and suck his knob, and he's just fighting them off.
It's so ridiculous, isn't it? So yeah, fully mental. So I thought that was interesting. You can go read the full article. It's much, much longer than that. So we'll get into the Linda Sarsour's didn't happen. So, you know Linda Sarsour, she's the feminist activist, much like Tariq Nasheed, says everyone's Islamophobic. If you say, you know, this is a belief system and I don't necessarily agree with what that belief system has to say, apparently it means you're a racist. I don't understand how that logic works, but apparently that's what it is. So Linda Sarsour is like one of these big vocal proponents again. She's always on Twitter talking about the rise of Islamophobia, the rise of racism, the rise of misogyny. She somehow has this weird position where she says Sharia law is good, but the oppression of women is bad. Maybe I'm just reading entirely biased sources, like the Quran, which doesn't make itself look particularly good, it must be said. But yeah, she thinks Sharia law and modern Western feminism is somehow compatible. Better her, good luck to her. She's obviously got a smarter brain than me. So anyway, there was a woman who was beaten up. A nun was beaten up. She was called Sister Rama. It's not to be confused with what that dude says in Withnail and Allen.
Rama, Harry Rama.
We've all had a Camberwell carrot, mate. But there was this Launch Good campaign, which is like crowdfunding, but, without the stipulations So if you want to just raise money for someone's medical supplies, you can. And they had a $110,000 goal, and they smashed it super quick. And you can see here, I mean, it's quite an upsetting picture. You can see a lot of swelling, a cut to her nose, bloody lips, and there's a side-by-side with her, when she wasn't beaten up. And you're like, oh, wow, that's quite a nasty picture. And then you read up on it, and you're like, Sister Rama Wasami is a Somali-American and single mother who was brutally beaten by a white man. She came to the defense of another sister. Rama is currently recovering in this hospital in Columbus, Ohio. Her injuries include 4 missing teeth, a badly swollen face, a busted lip, and a swollen nose. Understandably, she will not be able to return to work for a few weeks, and we would like to alleviate any financial stresses for her. Her 12-year-old son is traumatized and is staying with relatives. He is preparing to start middle school in the fall, and they hired this activist group who have lawyers on hand, and obviously that because they want to get her justice. And when I saw this coming through, I was like, I'll be honest, I wince every time there's a hate crime. I really do. Because my position is that we're not like that. That these people are outliers, and I honestly think that from what I know, it just doesn't happen. I go out and I don't see it. I don't hear these people. I don't hear people say openly racist things. I don't read about racist attacks. I was like, it's still horrifying to me that this sort of shit can happen. And I always want to believe that this is the last one. We're not going to see it again. This was the fucking guy. And maybe it's naive, or maybe it's stupid, but I honestly think the vast majority of it is like people assume the worst. But when I read about this, I was like, well, this was another fucking heartbreaker, right? Like it's awful. Woman gets beaten by a guy just because she's a Muslim. It's indefensible. It's disgusting. Then details about the case started coming out, because this is what Linda Sarsour was saying. She was on Twitter and saying this is an Islamophobic attack. So again, it was like indefensible. Yeah, everybody rushed. Everybody gave money. You can see $112,000 raised. But as the facts started coming out about it, turned out it didn't happen. It wasn't an Islamophobic attack at all. It wasn't even hate related. What actually happened was there was a white guy who, and they've actually changed comments, because on the website, let me just see, I think they've actually took it down. Yeah, in the original comments here, it said the guy who beat her had screamed racial abuse and was known as a racist in his local area, and they've took that off that fundraiser because, well, you'll see why. They claimed that the white man had said, "You will all be shipped back to Africa," as he was beating her. But the partner of the person came out and basically said, yeah, this is bullshit. And the arrest reports said, we're not investigating a hate crime. So the partner of the person who allegedly did this is someone called Samantha Morales. And what happened was she was being attacked by these two women. And she's a Mexican. So there was like a big mob of men and women, including this woman, and there was over some neighborhood argument. And she said, what happened is not what she is claiming. The woman that is in the hospital, I feel very sorry for her, but she is one of the women who were kicking and hitting me on the floor after I got tased by the police. Oh, sorry, not by the police. The police showed up and had to break up a mob, which is why they didn't arrest anyone on the basis of a hate crime. Somebody pulled a taser on her, not the police. So a mob attacks this woman, tases her. They're all beating and kicking her on the floor, including this woman who also got beat. So a boyfriend turns up and saw his girlfriend getting kicked and attacked by a mob on the floor. And he ran over and started windmilling to save his missus. Now, the police said there are no independent witnesses that verify he said anything racist or anything Islamophobic. Miss Morales says he definitely didn't. And said that he didn't even have time to say anything. Because it was just a fucking mess. It was just a brawl. All he was trying to do was get me up off the floor. And this is the key thing in all of this. On the arrest report, it's Samantha Morales that is the victim that the police were responding to. She was the victim of the assault. That wasn't reported at all. And she even brought forward emergency room papers to show she had to go to hospital as well. And she had to get x-rays on her hand and ankle. And she was diagnosed with a concussion. So the whole thing's a fucking mess. She was the one who called 911. That was the only reason the police were there to begin with. So the police. So at this point, it's like, okay, well, it's he said, she said, right? Well, it isn't, because the police reports completely back up what Morales and the supposed white male hate crime committer said. And they said, due to conflicting statements, a primary aggressor was not able to be identified, but we are not investigating a hate crime at this time. So it wasn't an Islamophobic attack. It was a brawl where multiple people were involved. So Linda Sarsour has gone out and basically raised $112,774 from sympathetic people who would be rightly sympathetic if her version of events were true, to a woman who was in the middle of a mob that were attacking another woman and got attacked by the boyfriend trying to defend the woman. This whole thing just sounds like a shit show. It's not an indictment on racist America, right? It's just a shit show. But it's too late now. I mean, the people who have given the money to fight Islamophobia, tough luck. But it's not a hate crime. It didn't happen. That was promoted by a big celebrity. So you're like, well, shit, anything can happen. Maybe she just got duped, Sam. Because I'll be honest, when I saw it and read it and saw lawyers putting their names on statements that they've now walked back, my immediate assumption was it's got to be right. No lawyer would fucking publicly say the man has a history of being known as a racist in his area, unless that could be provable in court. I mean, that would be a ridiculous thing to do. Oh, but you've deleted that, have you? Oh, okay, cool. So it was a ridiculous thing to do. There's no independent witnesses that can verify he said it. So the extra detail that he just walks around his neighborhood saying racist things is even more ridiculous, isn't it? Like, how would you know that? So obviously they had to delete it. But you're like, okay, she might have just got duped. It might have just been an innocent mistake. So there was another woman killed, a young Muslim teen in Virginia. Shocking story. A supposed Islamophobe just attacked her and killed her near a mosque in Virginia. So everybody said it was a hate crime. And you can read a nice write-up of this, obligatory plug for Heat Street. So again, Linda Sarsour tweeting about this, saying this is how fucked up America is. Yet again, another Islamophobic attack. This awful murder But it turned out that it was a road rage incident. But by this point, the fucking runaway train is just going on. Everyone's retweeting it. Linda Sarsour put up a Facebook post saying the victim was a Muslim sister, saying she was heartbroken and shattered. Nowhere is safe if you are a Muslim. That's what she said. So, I mean, right, you take a tragedy, you don't know all the facts, and then you say nowhere is safe. That'll help. That'll definitely help any problems that we might be having in this uneasy alliance that is an inclusive society that has to include sometimes even mutually exclusive cultural ideals. Let's definitely just stoke that fire, right? So everyone came out. You can see here a Washington Post reporter said the crime was Islamophobia as well. This is a journalist who should know we need to wait for all the facts to come out. Just reading up on the tragic death of Nabra Hassanin. Totally heartbroken. We must stand up against Islamophobia. Yeah, we must. Then this is where your boy Tariq Nasheed comes in.
Wash your ass. Wash your ass.
Tariq Nasheed said she had bad breath and should have washed her ass. He said, have you noticed how law enforcement go out of their way to deny racial motives for these white supremacist terrorist attacks? And he linked to a report of the crime. And it said here, this is the official police version. An autopsy of the body recovered from a pond in Loudoun County yesterday is being conducted by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner. Our detectives believe the body to be that of a 17-year-old Reston girl who disappeared. This tragic case appears to be the result of a road rage incident involving the suspect who was driving and who is now charged with murder. So apparently, when you get the particulars from the investigators, it's got nothing to do with her religion. The guy was just a fucking whack job. The guy was just a nutcase, right? And you can see, look, one thing I wish journalists wouldn't do is go to parents who are grieving and make them face the public and make them be a spokesperson for the grief, to come out and try and put some broader context on what happened and expect them to be coherent. It's like such a awful thing to do to somebody. And they set the father up for the fall. The Guardian interviewed the father. We're like, what do you think the motives are? I mean, what is somebody who is grieving and probably gets told by the same outlets that want to fall over themselves to interview him that Muslims are in great danger in the Western world? What do you think he's gonna say? It's a loaded question, isn't it? He's not going to say in the depths of grief, I don't really think it's appropriate to speculate about my daughter's death, and I will wait what the police say after they've conducted their investigation. No one's going to say that. So naturally, he said that my daughter was killed because she is a Muslim. That is what I believe. That was the quote in The Guardian. And again, I don't condemn him at all for saying that. And, I do condemn any publication that wants to put a microphone under a father's fucking grieving mouth like a day after his daughter's died before all the facts are ascertained. Anyway, the detective report says that they were returning from a mosque, were on a sidewalk, and there was a group of people on a road, and a teenage boy on a bike was arguing with the killer. So the killer drove his car onto the curb as the group sort of scattered. Then Torres caught up with them a short time later in a nearby parking lot. Angered, he got out of his car armed with a baseball bat and began chasing the group. He caught up with this 17-year-old girl and proceeded to hit her over the head with a baseball bat. Now, that is awful, but again, it's got nothing to do with anyone's religion, like Linda Sarsour was saying. And the person who did it was called Martinez Torres, who was an immigrant himself. He was a citizen and national of El Salvador. Now, this was crazy because there was people out there saying, oh, Donald Trump hasn't said anything about this killing of a young Muslim girl in America. When is Donald Trump going to come out and condemn the rampant Islamophobia that he is stoking? So I've actually saved this tweet, or one of these tweets, because it's the funniest one. Let me get it for you. Yeah, I've been saving all the nutters now. My likes are just an absolute atrocity. Hold on 1 second. There it is. So this is Amy Siskind. And you can see this is a tweet by Scott Greer asking, I wonder why she deleted this. Amy Siskind said, it appears real Donald Trump is also turning a blind eye to a white man. Again, this is what I keep talking about Hispanic people. They are Schrodinger's people of color. When we need them to be minorities and victims, like when Donald Trump says something bad about Mexicans, we give them that status. But whenever they do anything bad, we give them the status of white male. They must be so confused. This is what liberals do. So he's also going to turn a blind eye to a white man kidnapping and murdering a 17-year-old Muslim woman in our country. Well, they didn't ignore it. The ICE went out and got him fucking straight away. He's been arrested on local criminal charges. Once they have got those charges filed and the investigation is all done, he can be removed from the United States. He can go and serve his time back in El Salvador. And they did that like that. It was done in a day. As soon as the guy was identified and his background was known, that was that. So, just ridiculous. And this is what I mean. This is a double didn't happen. This is a double didn't happen from a prominent figure. She's not been called out about it. She's completely misrepresented one crime to raise money for an unknown group. I mean, how much of the money is the victim getting? How much is going to this legal group who, when you look into them, they're like the Council of American Islamic Relations. It's their local office. I wonder if Linda Sarsour has any ties with that group, maybe. They've just raised $112,000 of fucking public money on the basis of goodwill for a hate crime that never happened. And then, not content with that, maybe keep a low profile at that point. She then stokes up this Islamophobic myth, again, for another crime that is a textbook road rage incident and has actually been dealt with incredibly swiftly and incredibly professionally. It was a crime that was committed by a national of another country. But don't let it ruin the narrative. Isn't it weird, by the way, that once that person was identified as being an El Salvador national, isn't it strange how that story, this horrible story of a 17-year-old girl being murdered with a baseball bat, isn't it strange how no one was interested in covering it anymore when it wasn't a white racist? Like what, does the death have no value now? Of course it doesn't. It doesn't further the narrative. It's so transparent and so depressing that that's what you have to deal with. And again, no, I've not seen one article from any source that say, you know what, Linda Sarsour got it wrong. That's bang out of order. Bang out of order, she got it wrong. Nobody said that. Because why would they? Because it's all good. So there you have it. We'll definitely end the show there. I've been dragging out that Trump yearbook story for ages. Fuck it, I'm going to throw it in at the end, Sam. I'm going to throw it in at the end. Here's the Trump yearbook story for those. We talked about it very briefly on another show, but we didn't actually give it the full attention. So if you think there's no bias, by the way, to sort of being a Trump supporter in America, it's so absurd to me that this is the sort of like thing you have to go through if you just support your president, your elected leader, your democratically elected leader. So there was this story in a school where a teacher went through the yearbook and they airbrushed out any Trump t-shirts or Trump logos. It wasn't just politics. It was only Trump. Any students who had put Trump quotes or anyone from the Trump administration in their yearbook quotes, they had them removed. And you can see the pictures here. The Make America Great Again t-shirt suddenly becomes an all-black t-shirt. The guy who had a Trump hoodie, his Trump is just disappearing. There was some girl had put like a Trump quote underneath, and instead it just had the months that she attended. Well, anyway, it was just some rogue teacher that did this. The school were aghast. It's going to cost them a fortune because the yearbooks are going to have to be reissued. But how does a teacher fucking just take it upon themselves to do this, to oppress the students in that way? This is a country, it's mad. You got to know about the fucking First Amendment rights. You got to know about that. And your right to political expression. They're not breaking any laws. There isn't even a First Amendment exception for hate speech. This has been proven many times. This has been held up many times. The ACLU defended a guy who used to wave a fucking Nazi flag and dress in Nazi regalia and fucking march around his local town. That's how core free speech is to being American, to American society. And a teacher who's in a position, by the way, to be working around young, malleable minds, takes it upon herself to, no one will mind if I just edit out their personal politics. We'll just pretend Trump never happened. It wouldn't surprise me if there is going to be a fucking group of people who are actually, hey, why don't we just delete these 4 years? Wikipedia will probably suggest it. Everyone else will go along with it. Why don't we just delete all reference of Trump ever being president from history, and then 100 years from now, it'll be like it never happened. Well, anyway, there's a happy ending. This is an example of why, if anybody ever wants to know why Trump is even more popular than any poll will ever tell you, obviously they rig the polls. I'm not saying he has mass approval ratings. I'm saying he has all-time low approval ratings is ridiculous. His most recent rally that he did, he still packed that building to the fucking rafters. But you got to stop rigging the polls. They skew the polls by asking, having more Democratic representation, and then it comes out, only 35% of the people we asked in the poll approved of him. How many Democrats did you put in there? It was almost all of them, actually. Right. I wonder why your polls fucked then, you fucking morons. Well, anyway, this is why. Because Trump himself saw this story, and his administration sent out a care package to the students that had stood up for this and talked about this. And in it, it's like an esports thing. It's just loads of Trump swag. Right? You can see there's a video there on Fox and Friends. They just sent him, hats and T-shirts and signs and everything else. And you can see here, Donald J. Trump said, "Thank you, Wyatt and Montana, two young Americans who aren't afraid to stand up for what they believe in. Our movement to make America great again is working because of great people like you." And they sent him an official letter from the fucking president as well. See, I hope this letter finds you well. I was dismayed to learn that your Trump shirt and Trump quote were censored in your high school yearbook. I commend you all for voicing your support of the president and his vision to make America great again. It is more important than ever that we as Americans stand up for our beliefs and hopes for a better country. And as you know, it takes courage to do so. But the freedom of expression should never go out of style. Let's not forget that. Please find enclosed some campaign merchandise to wear around the great state of New Jersey and wherever else life may take you. I wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors. And on behalf of President Trump and Vice President Pence, thank you again for your support. Let's work to make America great again, because we just want to keep saying that. And there it is from Michael Glassner, the executive director of the White House. So there you go. That's baller as fuck. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You might not like Donald Trump, but there you are. You know, like that was a small local news story that kind of crept its way onto like the BBC. And somebody saw it and said, you know what? Let's look after those boys. Because he's right. Being a Trump supporter in America is fucking crazy. I think I'd honestly feel safer if I put a fucking Klan hood on than if I put a red Make America Great Again cap on. Legit. I almost got in trouble. You know, this is why you haven't seen me wear it for a while. You know that I'm with Harambe t-shirt I used to have?
Yeah.
Somebody noticed that it said about Harambe and not Hillary, because it looked like it was a Hillary Clinton campaign t-shirt, right? Because of the H. And someone got very upset with me in public about it, saying they didn't think it was funny. I was like, which bit don't you like? Don't you like the... Is it that it mentions the dead gorilla, or no, you're just making light of Hillary Clinton's campaign. She should be president right now.
I mean, shouldn't though.
I mean, did lose an election though.
You lost though, didn't you? So nah, she doesn't get to be. That's usually how it works. The winners get the spoils and all that.
And that's how unreasonable America has sort of become. You know, like that there is a hardcore group of leftists that literally think that if a red cap that just says I support the president and I believe in his vision to make America great again, that is an act of racism. That has to be stopped. You are bad. You deserve to be beaten and attacked. You know, it's mad. It really is. So there you have it. So I think it's great that the White House noticed these things. And again, you'll notice only Fox reported on that story. Anything that humanizes the White House and its administration, massive bias. Anyway, that's that. We can definitely go. I'm off to get a job at Disney World as a fat Jack Sparrow. Jack Sparrow, the cirrhosis he is. And see if I can get my dick sucked. Do you have any final thoughts other than washing your ass?
Beware of the chupacabra.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, I think at the end of the show, we should probably just play Wash Your Ass one more time. I think it's a great song. So thanks to everybody who tuned in. I know the timing was a bit inopportune with a lot of CS fans liking our content. So apologies about that. But if you're watching on the VOD, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. I know it's ridiculous I have to keep saying that, but it actually seems to somehow mitigate YouTube fucking us in the ass. It's actually been helping. We haven't seen as severe a drop-off. And obviously, if you have been unsubscribed, which people tweet at me every day saying they are, resubscribe and complain to YouTube about it. Maybe they will stop unsubscribing you one day. Do not hold your breath. But anyway, from The Richard Lewis Show, thanks a lot for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode, whenever that might be. Until then, take care of yourself. And let's all listen to why we should wash our ass. Peace.